Hello everyone, how are you? Today we are going to pass a new topic called human evolution. I think it will be interesting. Let's go. Human evolution. What you will learn on this lesson. So objectives are like this. Investigate and understand how primates have changed through time and learn the stages of anthropogenesis. There are some key terms which you should know and understand. Apes, bipedal, primitive, species, fossil. I think these kind of terms are enough to understand today's topic. Let's continue. Human evolution is the process where humans have evolved from a very simple animal to the modern human being, like we. And humans have evolved in various stages which are Preanthropus, Archaeanthropus, Australopithecus, Homo erectus, Homo sapiens and Homo sapiens, which means the modern human. These are the classifiers of the ancient human body. So what is the anthropogenesis? Anthropogenesis is, in the case of plant and animal evolution, when this kind of organisms are changing by a long period. Primitive forms have evolved into ever more complex species. There are some stages of human evolution. By this time lapse, you can see how human body changed through the time. For example, 3.7 and 2.9 million years ago, the Australopithecus were lived. So, if you will continue 2.3 and 1.7 million years ago, there was a Homo habilis, handyman, and they can walk straight. The next stage is 1.9 million years after 27,000 years. There was a Homo erectus, upright man. 250,000 to 24,000 years ago, the Homo neanderthalensis. However, according to current scientific theories, Homo neanderthalensis is not an immediate ancestor of Homo sapiens. Then 200,000 years in the present days, there is called Homo sapiens, the wise man, which is clever and well developed. The hominids evolution. They developed between 5 and 8 million years ago, and hominids were bipedals. The first hominids were found in Africa, and they called it Australopithecus. The Lucy is the famous fossil hominid which was found again in Africa. More modern hominids were in genus Homo, means human. So Homo sapiens, they developed 400,000 years ago. Neanderthals, which arrived in Europe, they were in 100,000 years ago. And Cro-Magnon, they arrived in Europe and America. So between 12,000 and 40,000 years ago. The classification of human is classified as the following. The kingdom is Animalia, phylum Chordata, subphylum Vertebrates, classes Mammalian because they feed with the milk, and cohort Eutheria, order Primates, family Hominidae, genus Homo, and species Homo sapiens. Many theories about evolution, but not most of them are correct. There are many ideas, many facts which explains that we are not coming from the apes. And this video is one of the example which explains with modern language and modern ability of understanding.
It's often said that we humans share 50% of our DNA with bananas, 80% with dogs, and 99% with chimpanzees. Taken literally, those numbers make it sound like we could pluck one cell from a chimp and one from a human, pull out the tangled bundles of DNA known as chromosomes, unroll each one like a scroll, and read off two nearly identical strings of letters. But in reality, the human and chimp scrolls don't sync up so easily. In the 6 to 8 million years since we split from our last common ancestor, chance mutations and natural selection have changed each of our genomes in radical and unique ways. 2 human scrolls fused, leaving us with 23 pairs of chromosomes to chimps' 24. Other large mutations revised huge sections of text, duplicating a chunk of human DNA here, erasing a chunk of chimp DNA there, while throughout the scrolls, tiny mutations swapped one letter for another. When researchers sat down to compare the chimp and human genomes, those single-letter differences were easy to tally, but the big mismatch sections weren't. For example, if a genetic paragraph, thousands of letters long, appears twice in a human scroll, but only once in its chimp counterpart, should that second human copy count as thousands of changes, or just one? And what about identical paragraphs that appear in both genomes, but in different places, or in reverse order, or broken up into pieces? Rather than monkey around with these difficult questions, the researchers simply excluded all the large mismatch sections, a whopping 1.3 billion letters in all, and performed a letter-by-letter comparison on the remaining 2.4 billion, which turned out to be 98.77% identical. So, yes, we share 99% of our DNA with chimps if we ignore 18% of their genome and 25% of ours. And there's another problem. Just as a small tweak in a sentence can alter its meaning entirely, or not at all, a few mutations in DNA sometimes produce big changes in a creature's looks or behavior, whereas other times, lots of mutations make very little difference. So just counting up the number of genetic changes doesn't really tell us that much about how similar or different two creatures are. But that doesn't mean we can't learn anything by comparing their genomes. DNA contains a record of the evolutionary relationships between all organisms. It's a garbled record, but by reading closely, we've been able to glean enough information to refine the evolutionary trees we started drawing long before genome sequencing was around. We may not actually be 99% chimp, but we are 100% great ape, and at least a little bananas.
Маймылдар мен адамдарды өзгеше қылатын не нәрсе? Ол әрине біздің ДНК-мыз. ДНК-ның ішіндегі фрагменттер және олардың ішінде тасымалданған генетикалық материалдар. Олар адамды саналы етеді және ақылды етеді. Және бірден бір біздің маймылдар мен адамдардың арасындағы айырмашылық ол біздің миымыз. Оның мөлшері, біздің сана сезіміміз. Маймылдар әлгінге дейін алғашқы приматты өмір сүруді жалғастырса, адам баласы қазіргі таңда дамып алға қарай жылжуда. Күннен күнге әртүрлі қабілеттеріміз болып дамып жатырмыз. Жалпы адам баласы өмірде физиологиялық тұрғыдан өзгергені рас, бірақ маймыл біздің туысымыз деп айта алмаймыз. Біздің ДНК-мызбен салыстырғанда біз тышқандарға, шимпанзеге, одан қала берсе бананға да ұқсаймыз. Сондықтан адамзатты дұрыс тануға тырысайық. Тыңдағандарыңызға рахмет. Сау болыңыздар.